Well, good morning, everyone. We're glad you are here. Thanks for coming early. A few months back, we started doing some interviews with long-time members of our congregation, sharing stories of their lives and 7th Street, and it was quite popular. And someone shared the idea of why don't we get to know some of our newer members at 7th Street? And so that's what we will be doing through the month of February. And so this morning, we're going to get to know the Clarkes. Yay! Hello, Clarkes. So we've got Alex and Carolyn Clarke. Welcome so much. Thank you for choosing to do this. And I'll just start by asking, where are y'all from? Where'd you grow up?
We're both from the Richmond area. I grew up on the north side of the river. Carolyn grew up on the south side of the river.
I grew up in Chesterfield.
Hey. Oh.
Henrico boy. Born and bred and never left.
And Carolyn, so you've been here the entire time, Alex. Where did you go to school?
Freeman, Hampton, Sydney, University of Richmond.
That's right. And you are an attorney, practicing attorney?
Do I have to admit that on a recording?
No, you don't. You don't have to admit that. I think you may have.
Spoken like a true attorney.
Undercover attorney.
No, Alex, so what do you do professionally?
I'm an attorney and I do family and children advocacy work.
Very, very noble. That's wonderful.
That's a good word to hear in his line of work. They don't get that word used for them very often.
No.
And it's true. It should be used more often.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for your good work. And Carolyn, have you been in Richmond most of your life, or did you leave anywhere for college? And
high school, grew up childhood in Chesterfield, and then did undergrad here, finished undergrad at VCU, but then did my master's degree in Colorado. So I was in Colorado for about 2 years total, and didn't want to come back, but when I graduated, couldn't get a job out there, so I had to come back. So
those pesky jobs.
Yeah. Graduated with my master's in 2009, right when something big happened.
Oh.
And yeah, I couldn't even get a job at the grocery store. So
wow.
Denver is a very popular place to be, so jobs were very competitive.
Yeah. So you came back here, and tell us what you did or what you do now, or both.
I joke that I retired early from one career as a child welfare social worker. Majority of my career was in child protective services and foster care. And then 2.5 years ago now, 3, I retired early, 3 years. And now I work in the Henrico County school systems, and I'm what they call the family advocate, which is still social work, but not with the title. So,
And I know that some of your work and how it connects even to 7th Street most recently was like helping support families who maybe needed food during Thanksgiving. So like we collected either food or financial resources, and we helped you put together some food baskets, right?
Yes, a huge amount of what I was calling Thanksgiving meal kits. And
that's great.
I think it was 68, 66. Sorry, I somehow just activated Siri and she's talking to me. Sorry. Just happened. So I have a food pantry, or what I call a community closet, at my school, and which is Wilder Middle School in Henrico. And so I do food support, emergency clothing support, and then I work a lot with families trying to improve in attendance and, getting the families involved, and I'm just sort of the I kind of think of myself as almost a liaison. Like I'm just sort of there to support the families and connect them to where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that actually, I think that connects, if I recall, to you even getting involved at 7th Street. How did you come to find 7th Street Christian Church?
Yes, I had actually first heard of 7th Street a few years back through Richmond Animal Control. I think they were doing a yard sale or something, and I remember like seeing that. I was like, oh, that church. And I remember I was like, we were kind of church shopping, so to speak, and I was like, oh, there's this cool church not far from us. We should check it out. And then of course I'm a wimp and never did, because new things are scary. But then when I started at Wilder last year, Tara Douglas, her son goes to Wilder, and she is the one who, it was her suggestion for the community closet. She came to me after back to school night, after I did a little, I spoke at back to school night and introduced myself to everybody. And the next week she came in asking for me, and we connected. And she did help me get gift cards for last year's Thanksgiving, and was like, well, you can meet me at church if you want, and pick up the gift cards. And I was like, oh, that's so crazy. I've heard of that church and wanted to try it. And so that was kind of the nudge that I needed to go. And I went the first Sunday, and then the next week he came with me. So
I remember that. And I think that was right before the Christmas Eve service. And I think I just quickly pulled y'all in to read scripture on Christmas Eve. like your third week there. I'm like, well, why not? You might as well be a part of the service. That's wonderful. So I'm gonna let Alex talk a little bit. Alex, what do you like to do in your free time?
I am an outdoorsman, I guess would be a way to
Yes. Yeah. What do you like?
I do hunt and fish, like to be on the water, kayak, canoe. So that's what I do when I'm not doing other things.
Like working. That's right. And for those of you unaware, maybe watching this later, what makes that a little bit funny is that Carolyn does not eat meat by choice, and her partner in life is a hunter. So they get to
We've been
navigate
together
that.
6 years now, and I still get teased. They're like, I can't, my friends that have known me, because I've been vegetarian for over 20 years, and I'm mostly vegan. And they're like, you married a man that hunts. I still can't wrap my head around that. I'm like,
Love is love.
Yeah.
right.
That's right. And I think I don't think you're alone. Yeah, we have, I think Jess is saying in the chat, we've got many low meat, non-meat eaters in our congregation. And as I shared, a reason too, like why we've partly moved to like our vegan communion bread, right? As to not have 4 different types of bread on a Sunday morning. So, and friends, for those of you who are joining us, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and if you have any. So it doesn't just have to come from me.
The man
So,
thinking this.
oh, Mary Lib wants to know how the two of you met.
My version or your version?
Your version.
Oh,
no, we met through work when I was a foster care worker for Henrico Social Services. He was the attorney on the majority of my cases for either the parents or the children. And apparently he didn't do it very well. He says he was flirting with me for the longest time. I did not catch on. I was too busy dating other attorneys. No, I'm just kidding. And finally, he sent me a text one night asking if I wanted to go to the baseball game the next day. And I rushed over to my friend's house and I was like, is he asking me out on a date? Or is it like, what? Like, I was so confused. And There was.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Alex's version that he was flirting with you. If you had to go over to your friend's house and ask if he was asking you out on a date, like if you needed that clarifying information.
I don't know. I never assume.
Alex,
Okay, Sheldon.
What? I missed that. Darn.
Oh, so yeah.
Alex, do you have anything to add to that version?
That's a relatively accurate version.
I said, I just came on. I don't know what you were just talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex. It was a different Alex. We're interviewing Alex and Carolyn Clarke. So
Okay.
yeah, no. Let's see what else. Good morning, Alex. Though Alex
Good morning.
Slusher, glad you're here.
Thanks.
So, what have you guys enjoyed about 7th Street Christian Church? Which may be difficult given that half of your tenure, maybe more than half your tenure, has been in quarantine.
For me, it was just an immediate feeling of these people are genuine. It was just sort of a down to earth. Clearly this is dressed up for me. It was not, I didn't feel like I had to, we had been to a few churches and
Big church.
yeah, we're in our, I guess, we're a married couple, but we don't have children right now. You know what I mean? It was hard for us to find sort of a fit and we would sort of disappear. It was hard to stay engaged. And so, but for me, it was one, and I admit too, the sanctuary was beautiful. I had no idea. I remember walking and being like, oh, wow. But
that's how they roped me in too, Carolyn. That's how they roped me in.
But honestly, it was more the people and Holly. Not, and I'm saying this genuinely, you made an effort. You made us feel seen. You made us feel welcomed. And people actually took the time to stop and say, oh, hi, you're a new face. How are you? And so. Yeah.
It was home.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's sweet. That's important though. And I think being able to articulate and reflect on what is it that makes people feel welcomed or makes people walk in and feel at home is valuable to even inviting others to worship or remembering so that we don't move away from that. Sometimes we forget. So that's nice to hear. So any final questions for our friends? Usually we wrap up a little bit before, 5 or 10 minutes before worship. So if anyone needs to grab their communion elements and get resettled, but any final questions for the Clarks?
It makes me happy so happy seeing them on the couch like that. I just love it. I just love it. You both have your hooded sweatshirts on. I feel like it's an homage to that Christmas Eve service where you jumped in because you're red and green. It's just, I'm glad you guys are.
What is Carolyn doing in her free spare time?
Oh, good question, Jim.
I'm sorry. What was that, Jim?
What are her hobbies? What is Carolyn's hobby, spare time?
I need to work on that, to be honest. I'm kind of boring.
She needs to work on her ability to relax.
Well, that's true.
Need to play more.
I am hoping Holly and I are going to do violin lessons. It's been a lifelong dream of mine to learn to play the violin.
Wow.
That's right.
An avid animal lover. I admit I had a horse who she actually passed away. It's been 5 years ago. But ever since she passed away, I'll be honest, I've kind of had a hard time. That was my hobby. That was my therapy. That was my way to relax. And so but I love the outdoors. I like to hike. We've got 2 dogs and, so animals and outdoors, but I need to be better doing that.
And growing tomatoes. You had some fantastic tomatoes this past summer.
Right. That's a good one. Yes, I did do some good tomatoes. My first attempt went very well.
Wow.
I was very impressed.
Which high school did you go to?
Oh, I went to Monacan in Chesterfield.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Bill. That's what you meant. I saw your text and I was like, what does he mean? I was like, gotcha. You wanted me to ask that question. Well, thank you guys so much for letting us literally put you on the spot.
We have a question.
We are thrilled that you're a part of 7th Street. Yes, Mansell's.
We want to know how your move is going or your search.
Oh, yeah.
We, the long story short, we have a place to go come February 27th. We will be moving to a temporary place and then continuing our, ongoing search for something more permanent.
Mansell's, thank you for bringing that up, Diane, because a couple weeks ago when I offered like condolences or like, oh, there's, some stress that was being experienced and I acknowledged it. It wasn't very clear what was happening. And people all week were texting me like, oh my gosh, did they lose their jobs? Are they going to be homeless? Like, what do they need? Multiple people in the church were very concerned about your well-being. Like, are you going to be living in your car? Oh my, and I was like, no, I'm so sorry.
It was just unexpected. Our landlord, we're renting our current home, and our landlord, because I'm being recorded, I'll be nice, was not very kind. And we were given, and she's now suddenly decided to sell the house. But anyways, it's a long, dramatic story that poor Holly got roped into because I called her screaming.
I called you.
Oh, you did. You're right. You roped yourself into it. So we are fine. It was just unexpected and very drama filled and stressful. So but I apologize for making anybody worry, but thank you all for your help and concern.
You didn't make anyone worry. I think I did not, I just didn't think through all the pieces of how it would be like seen and understood in the Zoom context. And I think what I celebrate is that we have a very compassionate congregation who immediately like was about to rise to the occasion and be like, what needs to happen here? So we celebrate that. But yeah. I'm glad that y'all have a place to go to. You will not be homeless.
Yeah.
You may be living in boxes for the next year or so, but that's okay.
Boxes and storage. Yep.
And I've got more boxes and packing materials. I got
awesome. Thanks, Jim. We'll let you know.
I think Frank had a question too. Frank's holding a hand.
Oh, okay, Frank.
You're muted, Frank.
Can we unmute him?
We can only ask him to unmute.
Hey, Frank, can you unmute? I think you're muted, Frank.
Oh, there he is. Oh, wait, he's unmuted.
Am I okay?
You are. Go ahead, Frank.
I want to tell Alex how much I admire his Red Sox. I'm a lifelong Red Sox fan.
Oh, I love that.
75 or 80 years.
Oh.
And I have been to Fenway several times. Ted Williams was my boyhood idol.
Yeah. So I married such an amazing woman that we went on our honeymoon, flew into Maine and spent some time at Bar Harbor. I had never in all of my professional life ever taken 2 weeks off, but we took 2 weeks off to honeymoon and we flew into Bar Harbor and then down to Boston we went and we spent 3 or 4 days. Yep. And watched the Red Sox lose to the Cleveland Indians.
Oh, that's too bad.
They won more games than they had ever won in a season.
Right.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, what a
Red Sox on his honeymoon. It's pretty nice.
That's awesome.
It was fun though. We enjoyed it. It was awesome.
Well, again, thank you guys. Oh, I'm sorry, Carolyn. What was that?
Oh no, I was just saying Frank will find that our first date. I should have said I wore an Orioles t-shirt, not knowing that he was a Red Sox fan, and he still married me. And I am a converted now Red Sox fan. So.
All right.
I know. Sorry, Kirsten.
The fact that he ever looked that meant that he was really interested.
Right? Okay,
My
sorry.
son-in-law's from Boston, so I'll give it to you.
Oh, I love it. Well, friends, I'm going to close this up so that we can get reoriented and adjusted to prepare for worship. Again, Alex, Carolyn, thank you so much for joining us today. Next week.